Well, hello, Peabody. How are you? I wanted to share my mindfulness presentation with everybody. It's not obviously the most ideal way to do this, but we're going to give it a try. And I want to share with you a couple options. You can either stick around with me and go through the slides this way, or in a few activities. I might even teach you all some breathing techniques, or you can go straight to this website here on the screen, tinyurl.com/Peabody Mindfulness. Make sure you use the capitals in both, and just go through the slides on your own at your own pace in all the videos. I hope that this is helpful for all of you and your students to help you understand what mindfulness is, what it is not, also all the awesome resources that are available to us all. I just meditated right before I did this, and it was incredible. It really helps you to focus. So stick with me or hit the X and go to that website, and I hope this is helpful, and I will see you soon. Hit. Okay, so first of all, I wanted to show you Elaine Berry, who is now my mindfulness partner in crime. She helped me present at the high school just recently, and one of my favorite things about why she started mindfulness is because she said something about a 3,000-mile checkup. Just like you do in your car, we need to check up on ourselves, especially in these ways. So she's a great resource, and I know she's fine with people reaching out if you need a resource for this. And then there's me. I've been teaching for 29 years in the classroom, but I'm also a yoga instructor. So a little bit about how I got into mindfulness, just to show you just to show you the story behind it, is that I was bumped on a flight with this amazing man who was so positive the whole day. He was just, we all had seats on the flight. We watched the plane leave the station, and none of us really knew what was going on. And it was a really good practice in mindfulness for me. But the whole time in this British accent, he was like, "Oh, I wonder what adventures we'll have today," or oh my gosh, maybe we should get a car and drive. This would be a great adventure. Oh, well, let's see what the universe has planned. And as the morning went on and the day went on, we couldn't get a flight. And I took out my Deepak and Oprah mindfulness meditation on my phone, and he says, "Is that Oprah on your phone?" I said, "Well, yeah, it is." And I'm like, "Who is this guy?" And I even said to him, I go, "You're so positive, you remind me of the dog whisperer." And the funny thing is, I never even seen that show. Anyway, so I come to find out that he is in a documentary, which I'm going to show you the trailer of right now, called Mindfulness the Movie. And from the documentary, you'll see exactly who was in it with him, and he has been my personal mentor ever since. By the way, he's also friends with Oprah Winfrey.
You only have one moment where you can live your life deeply. That is the present moment.
The other day, somebody asked me on Twitter, "How do I find the right person?" And, I just tweeted back. I said, instead of finding the right person, become the right person.
You drink the tea and you are aware that you are drinking the tea. That is mindfulness of drinking.
I actually think that mindfulness should be the centerpiece of psychiatric treatment.
It's a new evolution of the human species.
My clients are Harvard graduates, but they can't work at you out.
They are afraid of things that do not exist.
If one has a spiritual radiance about him, you sense it. You sense it in the eyes, you sense it in the demeanor, and that person can generally lift up the spirits of the people around him.
Being mindful helps me be a better actor because it helps me be a better listener.
The dog mindfulness is helping us, but our lack of being mindful is hurting them.
I'll take out my prescription pad and they'll say, "You need to give me something for anxiety." So I say, "I've got just the thing for you." And I'll write this, mindfulness.
No matter what the situation in the world, you can breathe through it.
And the breath is the link between the body and the mind.
And one person living like that can help so many people. When you breathe in mindfully, or when you make a step mindfully, you realize the miracle of being alive. And that miracle can happen in every moment.
That trailer is a really great definition of what mindfulness is, and I don't think I could find a better mentor. But it was interesting because it led me into a whole life of trying to find my own mindfulness practice, and it's still something I work on every day. So I wanted to share with you, what mindfulness is, how it can benefit you in your classroom, and how to start a culture of it in any classroom. So most of you know what mindfulness is. It's about being in the present moment. So I'm going to go over the definition and a few things about that. I might skip through some other slides, and you'll notice that the videos might be better quality if you watch them directly instead of through Screencastify. So, mindfulness. When you pay attention to the here and now in a non-judgmental way. I love the non-judgmental part. And with teens and everything, it's great because it really helps them to learn about, get to know themselves better. I always tell them they have a mindful mirror about judgment, how we all judge each other. I always tell them if I spell something wrong on the board, they're all like, "You spelled something wrong, Miss Sandstrom." And, I said, "Tell me what I'm doing right today." And they stop and think, and it's really cute. It's really funny, but it's true. We all point out each other's faults, and me included. And I just love that part of no judgment. But the little ones, you have to be a little careful because they're so literal, and I'm pretty literal too. So mindfulness in the present. So I found these funny cartoons for that. Or this one. I don't know where to put my head. So, and some things to know about mindfulness. One of my favorite things is that you don't need to change. You don't need to become a different person. It's in your backpack. I always tell the kids, it's right there all the time whenever you need to use it. And many of you do. So this is a fun way to describe it. This was meant for adults today. So if you have any little ones around, you might want to skip this video. And then this video right here is for teens and teachers of teens. And this one is for the little ones to explain mindfulness. So let's go ahead and watch it because it's a good one.
You may have heard this word mindfulness. It's become something of a buzz phrase of late. So I'm going to give you one simple, serviceable definition, which is this. Mindfulness is the ability to know what's happening in your head at any given moment without getting carried away by it. Imagine how useful this could be. Just as an example, you're driving down the road and somebody cuts you off in traffic. How do you normally react? I think most of us, we normally react by having a thought, which is, I'm pissed. And then what happens next? You immediately, habitually, reflexively inhabit that thought. You actually become pissed. There's no buffer between the stimulus and your reaction. With just a little bit of mindfulness, in that same situation, you might notice my chest is buzzing, my ears are turning red, I'm having a starburst of self-righteous thoughts, I'm getting angry. But you don't necessarily have to act on it and chase that person down the road, screaming at them with your kids in the back of the car thinking you've gone nuts. Now, you might be thinking, don't I need to get angry sometimes? Aren't I justified? I would say yes, but probably not as much as you think. The proposition here is not that you should be rendered by mindfulness into some lifeless, non-judgmental blob. The proposition is that you should learn how to respond wisely to things that happen to you, rather than just reacting blindly. And that, my friends, is a superpower. How do you get it? The way to get it is through meditation. I believe that meditation and mindfulness are the next big public health revolution. In the 1940s, if you told somebody you were going running, they would have said, who's chasing you? But then what happened next? The scientists swooped in, they showed that physical exercise is really good for you, and now all of us do it, and if we don't, we feel guilty about it. And that's where I think we're headed with mindfulness and meditation. It's going to join the pantheon of no-brainers like brushing your teeth, eating well, and taking the meds your doctor prescribed for you. Let me just close by saying, mindfulness is not going to solve all of your problems. It's not going to render your life a nonstop parade of unicorns and rainbows. Nonetheless, this is a superpower and one that is accessible by you immediately.
Isn't that video great? I just wish it had that one word not in it, and I'd love to share it with my students. But it does explain it pretty well, and it's worth looking at these other two videos, especially this one. It's pretty powerful. Okay, so like I said, you don't have to stay here with me. You can go do this on your own, but I am here to tell you the stories that I tell in the actual mindfulness training I did. So anyway, Dunkin' Donuts, okay? We go in there, and me, I'm usually running late, so I don't know what it is, but there's something about, and I'm a nice person, but sometimes I think if we stare at people, the coffee will come faster kind of thing. And these are the things that are usually in my mind, everything going on, and it's stressful. And it's like, oh gosh, keep looking at your watch, clock, gotta go. So I tried to practice what I preached and decided, okay, I'm gonna use my mindfulness tricks here. So I used my 5 senses. And in my 5 senses, I first of all smelled, oh my gosh, the coffee and the food, and I was starving, so it was perfect. And then I looked and I saw all kinds of cool things. Saw this little girl, she was dancing, so I decided to listen. So I used my hearing, and Kiss 108 had this great song on, so she's dancing away. And then I also noticed all the electrical plates were all bright orange. I thought that was cool. And then the girl behind the counter, her earrings were awesome. And then I saw the most beautiful thing, the donuts, and they were such artwork. It was just incredible. And literally, it was such a pleasant experience. My coffee came like that. I was out of there, and I didn't have the stress I usually have when I go in and when I leave. So it's just to take those few moments, use your 5 senses, and just breathe, which a lot of you already do, but I have to remind myself personally. So anyway, mindfulness isn't hard. We just have to remember to do it. Yeah, I have that in my car, that quote. Okay. And then, with the little ones, it's being able to recognize your emotions and know when you're feeling angry, when you're feeling anxious, and all those things, because once you know what's coming, there's things you can do to pause. So let's get into a few other things, the research and everything behind it, but not too much. And why we practice mindfulness. This says it all, teachers. Oh my goodness. Okay. So I think it was the very first book I read after meeting Dr. Blaze. And the very first chapter 1, if we're depressed, we're living in the past. And not just depressed, like if you have shame, guilt, regret, all those lower emotions that are no fun. And then when you have anxiety or worry about things that haven't happened yet, you're living in the future. And when you feel most content is when you actually take the time to be in the present moment. And it takes practice, but it is so true. And with teens, I talk a lot about this just because with their screen time and everything that is made their frontal lobes fire faster, and it really helps kids to focus more and to calm down and be more in the present moment, especially when they're getting directions in class, things like that. So I teach it even in digital media class at the Higgins. I teach 5 minutes of mindfulness to start every class. Sometimes 1 minute, sometimes 10, just depends. Both of these videos, they're movies or documentaries, they're incredible. Highly recommend you watch them on your own time. And they actually show you mindful schools, what they actually do when they come into a classroom. And it's pretty cool. I do a lot of the things that they do here, but I wanted to share those with you, and just the obvious stuff, what it can help with. And my favorite part of all of it is the empathy, because you can't teach empathy. You have to give kids, compassion. You have to give them a chance to practice it. So there's a lot of ways that they can practice it through these practices. And even right now in what we're forced to be dealing with. So I have some high school resources in here as well, because it is different for teens. So I hope that you can check those out. And I just love this sculpture about how we all have a young child in us. We all do. We were all started off that innocent. And Dr. Blaze, I actually met with him before I even made this presentation, because he is my mentor. And he had a bunch of lovely things to say for Peabody, but he said young children are born already naturally mindful. We just need to help teach them how to maintain it and help them build resiliency. So if the younger ones start with this, it's obvious that it'll be normal for them, a normal thing in school, and a normal way of dealing with their emotions. It's harder, obviously, as the kids get older, but my students personally are sponges for it. They love it. This is a great video. I'm not going to take the time to watch it right now, but please watch this video. It's excellent, 7 minutes long. And this is what schools are looking like all over the world, and it will become a normal thing. But most of all, it really helps us. I think that personally, I think teachers need to have their own practice before you can. And right now we are dealing with something that we don't even know how to navigate. There is no manual. So self-care, mindfulness, and all this is the most important thing right now. And that's why I'm doing this presentation, hopefully to help. And we all have different lives, different perspectives, different things going on. This is silly Miss Green Screen with her stuff, but and I have to be mindful of that because I don't have children at home who I have to homeschool or have to worry about food on the table or a paycheck and things like that. So that's why I'm reaching out to help anybody that needs some help with the mindfulness piece for their students. Just reach out and I will help you put things together and do it for you. So anyway, let's move on. Brain research. Oh my, this is fun stuff. Now, we all get stimulated for different reasons. We all get angry for different reasons. We all get sad. Everybody deals with it differently. But what mindfulness can do is can teach children and me, instead of reacting blindly, we pause, practice mindfulness, and then respond. So just knowing how those things come about. I just love that panda. It cracks me up. And I'm not going to get too much into this. This video will explain it for you. You can watch in your own time, but just about how we have our two brains. And what I do share is that we have the upstairs brain and the downstairs brain. And our frontal lobe makes good decisions, very kind person. And then this one is our fight or flight, which a lot of us are living in right now. I know I'm in fight or flight. It's a very foggy place to be. It's kind of an automatic brain. But when we get stimulated, they don't communicate. And that's when this downstairs brain says all the things or sends those texts or the anger comes out or whatever it is that we normally do. Whatever, some people just cry, just depends. So we call it flipping your lid. So mindfulness can help you to pause. When you start to feel your lid flipping, it can pause to wait for that to come back down. Because I know personally that having to apologize for things you said or did, that's the times when your lid was flipped, you weren't thinking straight and let's bring it down. So it's so helpful for kids. Me and my silly sense of humor. I have some examples here of what flipping your lid means, more for the teens. But the famous scenes of when people were very emotional. And it goes into this more. I have a whole separate slideshow about upstairs brain and downstairs brain that you can share with your students in videos. So I'll skip through that for now. And I'll skip through that. I apologize for skipping. I just want to get to the good stuff. So Stanley, I don't know if he's at PVD High right now, but he is an example of a student who came back to me one morning and said, Miss Anstrom, I used your mindfulness last night. He said, my brother spilled the cereal all over the floor. And he goes, my lid flipped and I started screaming at him. I started yelling. And he said, but I stopped because I remembered what you taught us about breathing. And I backed out of the kitchen and I did 3 of your breathing techniques. And then I went in there and I helped him clean it up. And then we played a game together. And my heart just went, what? So it's very exciting when you actually see it working. So he's very proud of the fact that he practices mindfulness. And so is Miss Jess here. They have graduated from Higgins. And they're willing to share it with the world because they said how much it helped them. So yeah, life is definitely interrupting us right now, you think, a little bit. So if it didn't interrupt life so much, as much as it interrupts mindfulness. We also have other samples you can check out from Serena, who's also, this is just a piece of it, but she has severe anxiety. So she talks about all the ways that mindfulness has helped her, and she uses all kinds of cool techniques. All right, so just to let you see a few students. And then in this section, how we can practice it. Okay, Well, you're doing it right now. But also ways you can practice it in schools. These are the 6 ways, there's more ways to practice it. I'm sorry, I keep moving my face. I don't know where to put myself. Mindful meditation, which I'm going to show you a little bit more about. Practicing gratitude, yoga, mostly restorative yoga, and teaching mindfulness activities. Utilize the apps and extensions. There's tons of them, even on their Chromebooks. And self-care, not just for us, but for the kids. And they look different for everybody. All right. I always tell the kids, the John Zabatkin quote about you can't stop the waves, but you can learn how to surf the waves of life. The anxieties, the depressions, and the wave that happens every day, but you can learn how to surf through it. So I always tell them their surfboard is their mindfulness. It's in your back pocket. Another Higgins student. They love my green screen. Okay. So when you hear the word meditation, I know a lot of you are thinking this, and I used to too. I did teach yoga for a long time, but meditation was something just pretty new in my life in the past 5 or 6 years. So this is usually what people think of meditation, of her or this guy. So I'm going to let him explain it. He's the expert. This is one of the videos you might want to watch and from the regular link instead of through here because the sound quality. So I will be back.
Hey, I'm Dan. In 5 minutes from now, you will be able to claim accurately that you know how to meditate. And if you're already a meditator, this little video may help you up your game or prove to you that your sneaking suspicion that you suck at it is actually wrong. Here's a fact. We all have a voice in our heads, an internal narrator that has you constantly wanting stuff, rejecting stuff, judging people, comparing yourself to people, and engaging in ruthless self-criticism. Used effectively, meditation can be the antidote to the voice in your head. It's not a miracle cure. That's why we call this thing 10% happier. But early scientific studies suggest meditation can produce a long list of tantalizing health benefits. Okay, so let's do it. Let's actually meditate for only 90 seconds. I promise you'll survive. It may comfort you to know before we start that you don't have to sit in a funny position. This is my cat, Ruby. You can meditate pretty much anywhere, in your office, on your couch, in a chair, on the floor, on a plane. Here we go. We're going to set a timer for 90 seconds. There are really only 3 basic steps. First, sit comfortably and close your eyes if you want. Second step, focus your full attention on the feeling of your breath coming in and going out. Pick a spot where it's most prominent, your nose, your chest, your belly, and just feel the raw data of the inhale and exhale. The third step is the biggie. As soon as you try to do this, your mind is probably going to go nuts. You're going to start thinking about things like, what am I going to have for lunch? Do I need a haircut? Why do celebrities only marry other celebrities? Where do gerbils run wild? Whatever. No big deal. As soon as you've noticed that your mind has wandered, you may be tempted to think you've failed, but it's actually a win. Why? Because you're seeing a thunderously obvious fact that most people overlook, which is that we have minds and are thinking. And when we don't see our mental clamor clearly, it controls us. So all you have to do now is start again. Go back to your breath. Feel it coming in and going out. If you get distracted again, totally cool. Every time you start over, it's like a bicep curl for your brain. You don't have to reach some special state. Getting lost and coming back over and over is the whole game. Okay, you can open your eyes. Congratulations, you legit meditated and it didn't kill you. I feel like meditation has been the victim of the worst marketing campaign for anything ever. All the traditional art around meditation shows people with those beatific looks on their faces floating off into the cosmos. I think this is a better way to think about it. For most people, meditation is hard, especially at the beginning. It does get easier, though. It's a bit like going to the gym. If you're not panting or sweating, you're probably cheating. So many people tell me they can't meditate because they can't clear their minds. Write this down and put it up on your wall. Clearing your mind is basically impossible unless you are enlightened, congratulations, or you have died. Very sorry. So why is meditation worth the trouble? For beginners, I think there are 2 big benefits. The first is focus. In our modern info blitzkrieg, we are more distracted than ever, and meditation can boost your mental muscle of focus. The second benefit we've talked about a little bit, but it bears repeating. Meditation can really help you be less yanked around by your thoughts, impulses, urges, and emotions. You learn how to respond wisely to things instead of reacting blindly. Respond, not react. It is a game-changing proposition. I'll be honest, I was super hesitant about meditation personally because I'm a skeptical TV news anchor with the attention span of a 3-month-old golden retriever. But then I had a panic attack on national television, which sucked uncontrollably. But long story short, it ultimately led me to meditation. And when I first started looking into meditation, I really attacked it like an investigative story. I checked out all sorts of teachers, some of them pretty deeply weird. On this app, I'm bringing together the teachers and the scientists who I found to be the most clear, qualified, and cool. Here's how the app works. We kick things off with 8 sessions of free content. Since we know you're very busy, every session contains a short video and a short guided meditation. And if you're short on time, you can go to the Just Meditate section where we've even got some 1-minute long meditations. Yes, that counts. You'll also get a coach, an actual experienced meditator, not a robot, who can answer your questions. I really believe by meditating, you're taking part in the next big public health revolution. Think about exercise. In the 1940s, if you told somebody you were going running, they probably would have said, "Who's chasing you?" Then what happened? The scientists swooped in, they demonstrated all the health benefits of exercise, and now we all do it, and if we don't, we feel guilty about it. I think in the not-too-distant future, everybody's going to think about mental exercise, meditation, the same way we now think about physical exercise. At the core of all of this is a radical and empowering notion. I think most of us assume that happiness is contingent upon external factors, but what the science is showing us is that, in fact, happiness is a skill susceptible to training. Okay, so you've given me 5 minutes. You now know how to meditate, but you're just starting. And the benefits can really come quickly here. So to meet the guy who's made those benefits come to life for thousands of people, including me, dive into the next session.
So as you can see, Dan explains it very well about what meditation is. And it is just coming back to the breath. That's all it is. And a lot of meditations you'll find out there, especially with the free apps, some use affirmations. And you might not want to start there if you're brand new to it, but some people like them. Other people just like nice music and so on. But we have Stuart here to bring us into some affirmations. I think we'll skip this. Okay, we'll skip that for now, but enjoy it if you'd like him. Okay, so mindful or mindful. Well, right now we all have our minds very full. Some of my students made some fun ways to tell you that it's okay for your mind to get full of things. When you meditate, it's impossible, like Dan says, to make your mind stop. You can't. So when that happens, like these girls are showing you, you just go back to I breathe in, I breathe out, or just feeling your breath. So they made this for me, actually, about the things that were in their heads when they were meditating. Now they're sitting in the position that scares people away, but that was more just for the video. I hope we have mac and cheese for dinner. That was one of my favorites. They did. They all had a bubble that showed up that says, "Where's my phone? Where's my phone?" Now, Elaine, oh my gosh, she's the best for this. She does binaural beats. Binaural beats are incredible. They're worth checking out. You can just go to Google and YouTube and find some. You can get them for headaches, for stress, for focus, for sleep, and guided meditations as well. They're everywhere. So you just have to find what works for you. One of my favorite apps, which I'll share in a later slide, is Insight Timer. It's free, and they have everything from 1 minute to an hour, whatever you need, and all different kinds of, there's like 6,000 free meditations on there. Okay, so once again, these two beautiful videos, this one for the younger ones is great. So if you have elementary students or kids at home, it's a great thing to show them, and the teens as well. Highly recommend it. This one, the younger ones, is in the mindfulness chart I made for the district. It's on our school website right now. A bunch of other videos. But getting mindful. I'm going to skip some of these. Okay, so let's breathe. There's a video here under Let's Give It a Try. But before I breathe with you, I want to show you my glitter jar. I have 3 of them. You can make them out of plastic bottles, and there will be instructions also in the mindfulness thing we posted on the website. But this is great, especially for the little ones. I always control it myself with my niece. But if they're having a tough moment or a meltdown, it's good to do this all the time, not just when they have a meltdown, but you can show them that this is how your brain feels right now and explain to them, you're feeling, what are you feeling? Where do you feel it in your body? Okay, you're mad. We see that. All right. And then you have them build a safe space, some pillows, maybe a fort or something, and you put some nice music on or whatever they want, and you put this down and you have them watch this until all the glitter settles and have them breathe. They breathe in for 3, breathe out for 4, whatever you want to show them. There's so many breathing techniques that are being shared as well through all these resources, but I love my glitter jar. So one of my favorites is the 5 finger breathing. So I want you guys to try it right now. I'm pretty brave to come on here and do this, so you can do it, unless you've already hit X. All right, so you treat it like mountains and valleys of your fingers. You're going to inhale up the mountain, exhale into the valley, or whatever you want to tell your kids. It's fine. It doesn't matter. So we're going to figure out rights and lefts. So we're going to try it together. Let's go ahead and inhale up. Go ahead. Inhale and exhale down to the valley. Inhale. And think of it going to the crown of your head, and exhale. Inhale to the top of the mountain. And exhale. Inhale. Exhale. This is good. Inhale. And exhale. It's amazing how little it takes to make you feel better. Breathing. We all need to breathe right now. I probably do that 10 times a day. And on the thing that I posted, it's not just for elementary kids. There's breathing bubbles on there and everything. There's even that donut. You can breathe with the donut going in and out. Okay.
If this life is one act, why do we lay all these traps? We put them right in our path when we just wanna be free. I will not waste my days making up all kinds of ways to worry about all the things that will not happen to me. So I just let go of what I know I don't know, and I know I only do this by living in the moment, living my life easy and breezy, with peace in my mind, with peace in my heart, with peace in my soul. Wherever I'm going, I'm already home, living in the moment.
So I'm not going to go into yoga and gratitude and all that. I just wanted to cover the meditation part because I think that's the biggest part that most people are not as open to or ready for. But once you get rid of the idea of what meditation is and know the health benefits, it is so worth it. If we're walking around stressed, it's just going to cause dis-ease. And if you put the word dis and ease together, you can figure that out. I love what Miss Janolfi said. If we start them young, this will be the new normal in school. She's so right. But right now, it could be a new normal at home. So I'm going to stop there, but I wanted to show you a couple awesome resources. So on the very last slide of this section, slide 55, nice and easy to remember, I have some awesome resources I think you should totally check out right now, especially in having to do with the mindfulness and everything we've talked about. The rest of the slideshow is up to you. It's the other 5 areas, and we can always do more of these, but I just wanted to give this a try, and I was asked to do this, so I hope it was helpful. The first one is something that I absolutely love and I highly recommend. It just came out today, actually. Deepak and Oprah, they do these 21-day free meditation challenges, and they started one today on hope in uncertain times. I did one today. It was great. It does use a mantra, but the rest of it is basically Oprah gives you awesome advice Deepak does, and then they go into a very simple meditation, mostly just music. So that's one. The second thing is a podcast from a teacher's perspective. I heard this last week, and I've been talking about it a lot to a lot of people from Shake Up Learning, and it's all about COVID. And the girl on here is incredible because she's a teacher, an American teacher who's in China, and her perspective of how their district handled it the first few weeks, and now they're really far into it, 6-7 weeks. So I think it's worth the listen for you. It helps calm me down for sure. And then the third thing is podcasts from 10% Happier. Dan from the video that I showed you, Dan Harris, he has a podcast right now on his 10% Happier, and it's linked in here in slide 55. All about Corona sanity. It's one is for parenting and stuff, but it's excellent. He also mentions in here that their app is free for 6 months for all healthcare workers. So if you have anyone in your family, your friends, anyone, please let them know to go to 10% Happier, the website, because it is free for 6 months. The app. Mindfulness Grid. We put this on our website just today. I think Jared put it up there for all of you, and it is right here. It might be moving to education resources, but right now it's under elementary. And honestly, I've been using these breathing bubbles, but it's mindfulness videos and strategies I threw together, K through 2, 3 through 5, and the rest of these on the bottom anybody can use. So definitely check those out, especially if you're stressed out, but you can share this directly with your students. Okay. And then the last thing I wanted to show you is a wakelet. I made a wakelet for mindfulness. It's actually on their community page today, and it's everything that you pretty much saw in my presentation, but also lots and lots of other things. And the one thing I wanted to point out is Books of Love. This is awesome, especially for the teenage students. I feel like they all need to watch it. In fact, I'm going to close with it. So I'm going to play it right now for you. Obviously, you can check out anytime, but I wanted to thank you all for being here and letting me wing this and do this. And I'm here as a resource, so please reach out. My last name is Sandstrom E at you know the rest. And I hope you all stay well and that you start breathing and that this was helpful. So namaste.
This is a really weird, confusing, difficult, frustrating time for all of us. I think every one of us in the last few weeks has had our lives disrupted. We've had our schedules changed. I think we've read things that have maybe freaked us out. Some of us don't know how to cope with just the things that are going on, so we've chosen to be funny with it and make light of what's happening because we don't really know how to process it. I think if you're watching this video right now, you probably feel a lot like all of us. You feel confused, you don't know what to do, and maybe there's this weird sense of uncertainty that you have. And I know that we're all feeling that way. But before we panic, before we freak out, before everybody loses their mind and buys all the toilet paper, I just want to take a second and maybe just pause. Let's just pause for a second and think about what this moment that we're all going to experience, whether we want to or not, is going to give us. It's going to give us something. Yes, it's going to take something. Yes, we're all going to experience loss. Yes, this is going to be difficult. I don't want to downplay any of that for a moment. But what I want to talk about for a second is there might be something that we can learn and something that we can gain from all of this. If you're new to this show, if you've never seen me sit on this crate and talk, what this show was designed to do was it was designed to talk to kids in the classroom, where we talk about topics like success, we talk about topics like finishing well, about loving on each other, about courage and following your passions and being a good human. And the reason that we created this show was to have conversations in the classroom. And for a lot of you, that classroom is about to change. We're all going to experience this weird shift and this weird transition, but I don't think that we need to walk into this thing terrified. I don't think we need to walk into this thing scared. I don't think we need to walk into this thing looking at what we're going to lose. But I just want us to take a moment and think for a second. In the midst of what we're losing, I think there's an opportunity for us to try and gain something different, to try and gain something new. I mean, all you parents out there, think about it. Think about how many nights you've scrambled your kid from one practice to the next. You've left something 10 minutes early to get to something 10 minutes late because your kids are flying from activity to activity, and all of a sudden, in a moment, Now they're just gonna be at home. Maybe this is your chance to really have some of these conversations with your kids that you've always wanted to have. For you young people who are watching this, for you students, maybe this is a chance for you to get to know your siblings better, a chance for you to get to know your parents better. This is an opportunity for you to get to know yourself better. I really think that all of us have a chance to gain something from this, but I want us to be mindful. I want us to be mindful of all of the young people out there who are going to experience things in ways that we can't fathom. There are around 4.5 million homeless young people in the United States of America. There are almost 30 million students who get food from school daily. That's where they eat during the week. And that's something that we all have to figure out how we're going to solve. That's a problem that all of us need to find a solution to. I want you to take a moment and think about some of your classmates. Some of your classmates who maybe don't fit. Some of your classmates who maybe sit by themselves. I want you to think for a moment about some of those students at your school that maybe they don't fit. Maybe they sit alone at the lunch table every day. Maybe you've walked past them in the halls a million times and you've always wondered what their story was, but you never took the time to find out, and now they're just gonna be at home. And I want you to understand, there are a lot of you watching this. I know that you're gonna be forced to be at home right now, and that's a place you work really, really hard to not have to be. And so I want you all to understand that this now is a moment more than any other time where we need to be a community. And maybe you don't understand why everyone's calling school off, and maybe you don't understand why everyone's being quarantined. Here's what you have to understand. We're doing this because we care about the people around us. We're staying away from each other because we love each other. This whole idea of flattening the curve, what you need to understand, maybe you've made light of this whole thing. Here's what you need to understand. You need to understand that if we all got sick at the same time, the healthcare system couldn't handle it. But if we all got sick over time, we might have a shot at handling this. So one of the best things you can do for your community is self-quarantine. One of the best things you can do for your community is stay at home. Listen, it would be easy for all of us just to sit back and start binge watching all of our favorite shows. It would be easy for you to sit there and just scroll on TikTok mindlessly. It would be easy for you to read every single news report that comes out about what is happening and what you're gonna do about it and how crazy things are gonna get. That's easy. Anybody can do that in this time. But what takes grit, what takes heart, what takes compassion, what takes leadership, what takes empathy is choosing to use this time to find a way to impact the people around you. Come up with something that you can do to come out of this with something tangible and practical to say, I did a good thing with my time. I did something I'm proud of. Nobody wants to look back at this time and wish that they would have done something to make their community better. Nobody wants to look back at this time and regret being lazy and bitter and angry at something that we couldn't control. Every one of us has a chance as an individual to use this as a time to grow as an individual. We all have a chance to use this to try to love and make our communities a little bit better. We as a nation have an opportunity to come together, put our differences aside for a moment, and just love on each other. And to all you adults out there watching this, think about what you say. Think about what you talk about in front of your kids. Think about the things that you do on your timelines as well, because everyone's paying attention to everyone now. We're all gonna be looking at the same things, paying attention to the same stories, doing the same kind of stuff. My challenge for us is this. Let's not stay rooted in negativity. Let's not stay rooted in bitterness. Let's not stay rooted in frustrations. Let's find a way to stay rooted in hope. Let's find a way to stay rooted in optimism. I think we all need to try to find a way to stay rooted in love.